You can lie to me, you can lie to your mom, your dad, your cousin, your sister, your neighbor, your dog, but you can't lie to yourself. You have to be honest. At least give yourself that. Sit down, ask yourself the question, figure out how you got here, and now we're going to figure out a way to get you out of there. To deal with loneliness, first you must understand it on a deeper level. And to do that, you do it by asking questions. The first question would be, what is loneliness? Loneliness by definition is a sadness because one has no friends or company, or it could be of a place, the quality of unfrequented and remote isolation. And I'm sure when you hear both of those definitions of loneliness, what that sounds like, a person that's more reserved. So the second question would be, what is an introvert? An introvert is a person that prefers to be by themselves. When they're around people, they get tired easily. All in all, it's a person that's more reserved, more in their head instead of out of their head. So the third question would be, how does loneliness and introversion come together? If you remember, introversion or an introvert is a person that prefers to be by themselves and they stay in their head. And loneliness is more of a feeling where you feel as if you have nobody. Even when you're around people, you still feel like it's just you and nobody else. The way they come together is because as an introverted person, you really don't want to be around people. You prefer to be within your head unless you're around somebody you're comfortable with. But in this case, let's say you don't have that person. So if you don't like being around people, now you do that for a long period of time, what happens? You begin to not want to be around people at all. And then you begin to forget how to talk to people. Then you forget how to communicate with people in different ways. You may stop talking to people. And then that's when loneliness creeps in. And that loneliness, like I said before, it's a feeling. So if you're a person that felt lonely and then you go out and you talk to somebody, for that brief moment, you might not feel lonely. But once you leave, that feeling comes back. Why? Because at that point, you're all by yourself again, and you may feel like you don't have friends, you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't have anybody to spend time with. So therefore, loneliness comes back again. Loneliness, you can see, is that imaginary friend that comes with you that doesn't cheer you up, that doesn't make you feel good, but it's there when nobody else is there. If you think about it, one of the main things that cause loneliness in people that are more introverted is because they isolate themselves. I get it. You don't want to be around people. You don't like talking to people. But if you do that for too long, it's going to dawn on you mentally. For example, let's use a person that's in prison and they get thrown in solitary confinement. If you be in there long enough, what happens? You begin to lose your mind. You begin to not know how to communicate with people. You forget how to talk to people. And then once you get out, now you have social anxiety. You're freaking out when you're around people. You don't want to be around people. You're terrified. And that's essentially what you may be doing without realizing it. Not to that extent or to that degree, but you get what I'm saying. When you isolate yourself, you're doing a mild version of that, and that's what it can lead to. The first step in dealing with loneliness is to identify the type of loneliness you are going through. The different types of loneliness are having no friends. It could be breakup/divorce. It could be you feel left behind, etc., etc. These are just a couple of different types of loneliness I'm going to be talking about. If you're not really sure how to figure out what kind of loneliness you're dealing with, ask yourself this question: why do I feel lonely? And once you ask yourself that question, the answer is going to come to mind. Maybe you feel like you don't have friends. Maybe you just got out of a long relationship, or maybe you just lost your best friend, or maybe a close one passed away. Really sit down with yourself, be honest, and ask yourself that question. And I promise you the truth will come to mind, and you have to be honest with yourself and take that truth. As you ask yourself that question, remember the key word, feel. Why do I feel lonely? Feelings come and go, similar to the wind and the weather. It comes and it goes, meaning it's not a forever or a permanent thing. An example would be a person that's happy because they got their paycheck today versus a person that's happy all the time, regardless of what happens in their life. Not in a toxic way, but generally they're happy. The difference between that is the person that got their paycheck, they're happy because they got their paycheck, but after a while, they're gonna go back to being miserable. In this case, let's say the person is not a happy person, they're gonna be miserable. But on the other hand, you got the person that's happy all of the time. That person is happy because they practice being happy. The other person is happy because of something that happened. Loneliness is the same way. It's a feeling. But with today, we're going to focus on the loneliness of not having friends and being on your own. The next step you want to do after figuring out what kind of loneliness you're dealing with is figure out how did you get there. That's the main thing. Because if you're lonely and you're not sure how you got there, you won't know how to get out of there. And you might be asking yourself, Ryan, how do I figure out how I got here? I may have been here for years, months, days, yesterday. Hey, that's okay. It all starts with a question. The question being, what led to me getting here? And that's going to result in one of two answers. Either it happened over time, or it happened because of an event that happened recently. Let's say, for example, if it happened over time, maybe it could be years of avoiding people, or it could be years of isolation, or it could be years of you living virtually instead of in real life, and now it's come to backfire because now you don't know how to deal with people in real life. Hey, it happens. And for the example for recently, maybe somebody passed away. Maybe you lost somebody you love. Maybe you got in an argument with your best friend and now you're feeling lonely because that was the only friend you had. Or it could be that you're reflecting and you're looking at the friends that you do have and you realize they're not real friends. They're just people that just taking up space in your life. But with identifying how you got there, you have to be totally honest with yourself. You can lie to me, you can lie to your mom, your dad, your cousin, your sister, your neighbor, your dog, but you can't lie to yourself. You have to be honest. At least give yourself that. Sit down, ask yourself the question, figure out how you got here, and now we're going to figure out a way to get you out of there. Now we're going to talk about getting through the loneliness. Remember that definition I said before about loneliness, where it's mostly when you have no friends, you feel like you have nobody and it's just you. But before you can get friends or have people, you have to befriend yourself. And the reason you want to befriend yourself before you befriend anybody else is because who's with you 100% of the time? 24/7, every day of the week. Whether you sleep, eating, taking a shower, outside running, outside walking, checking the mail, going to the mall, going to the store. Who's with you? You. You're with you. All the time. Every day. All day. So, why would you not want to be your friend? Because, think about this. You're a person. If you're a person and you're your friend, and you become your best friend, what happens? Now you have a relationship with yourself. And if you have a relationship with yourself, that relationship reflects how you treat other people and how you interact with other people. So if you're somebody who hates themselves, you're going to be mean toward other people. But if you love yourself, your self-esteem is going to be up here, and you're going to treat other people with respect. You're going to be kind to them. You're going to love them the same way you love yourself. But if you're somebody who might not be as fond of themselves, who don't like themselves that much, who don't think, hey, I deserve to be befriended by myself. I get it. That was me at one point too. I get it. But to take that first step, it's two things you have to do consistently. S and H, which stands for spend quality time with yourself and have quality conversations with yourself. And by that, you know what I'm talking about. You and I both know you talk to yourself. I know you talk to yourself because I talk to myself, and I know you talk to yourself, but that's okay. It's not weird. I promise. So let's start with the first one. Spending quality time with yourself. When you spend quality time with yourself, it's when you basically do things on your own, which I'm sure you're okay with. But with this, in this way, it's more so doing things on your own that you enjoy, or you could be try something new that you've never done before, and you get to understand yourself. You get to know more about yourself. And in that way, you begin to like yourself more. You begin to trust yourself more. And you can't have a relationship without trust. And trust is built by action. So if you begin to do things with yourself and spend time with yourself, now you got a relationship that's beginning to build. Because a relationship is like a bridge. It can't be one-sided. If you have a bridge with only one side strong that's holding it up, the other side gonna fall, and that whole relationship bridge is gonna cave in. But if you build it on both sides, even though it's you're building it on both sides, and now you have a bridge that's gonna be strong and solid. So the second part about that, which is the H, which is have good quality conversations with yourself, is you do that by basically talking to yourself, which you do anyway. It could be in your head or it could be out loud. It doesn't matter which one. But the main thing is keeping the conversation in your head positive. If you're somebody who's always talking bad about yourself, saying, hey, maybe you call yourself stupid, maybe you call yourself dumb, maybe you call yourself ugly, you could call yourself repugnant, you could call yourself every bad word you could think of, but at the end of the day, guess what? You're a person. You should be your own best friend. You should be your own best cheerleader. But you're not. You may be criticizing yourself so badly to the point to where you don't even recognize yourself. Now I get it. It's easy to beat yourself up, hard to cheer yourself up, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And you change that by starting with S and H. Take the first step, spend time with yourself, and have a good quality conversation with yourself. And watch how you beginning to befriend yourself change how you feel about everything else. Once you befriend yourself, you'll be happy alone and you won't feel lonely, and you'll be able to now go out and make friends if you want to. And after you become comfortable with being yourself or being around yourself, after you've befriended yourself, here's how you'll know. You'll know because now you feel comfortable just being you. Maybe you're wacky when you're alone. Maybe you're goofy when you're alone. Maybe you're just still calm and just cool. Just, hey. But it's a feeling that's euphoric, and it's hard to not identify it once you come along it, because it's just a good feeling within you because you're you and you love yourself. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to check out the next video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.